What is the most bizarre reason a customer got angry with you? Please subscribe, like and leave a comment. Much love to you all. I had a customer storm upstairs to customer services to make a complaint because we'd moved menswear upstairs and he couldn't get upstairs because of his knees. So he went upstairs. About all I could do was call the support desk and apologize for what they were about to receive. Edit. We had an elevator, but he was also claustrophobic, apparently. That reminds me of the time my daughter was in the hospital. There was a kid, maybe 5 to 6 from the sounds, slightly developmentally disabled, we learned later, that was in a wheelchair and didn't want to go to physical therapy because she wasn't able to walk there. Like physically she was unable to walk there. So to emphasize this point, she gets out of her wheelchair and runs up and down the hallway screaming that she can't walk to physical therapy. We could hear mom just fucking dying laughing. A customer came in to buy hand sanitizer. She brought her bottle to the register to purchase it, saw there was some at the register, then proceeded to share her vast knowledge of swear words with great vigor with me, swearing she would never shop with us again. What? Clearly you should have known what she was there for. Stopped her at the door and let her know it can be found at the register. I mean, how lazy are you? I was working at a coffee and wine bar when I had a man scream at me because he ordered a regular and I didn't know what he wanted. It was my first time meeting him, which catastrophically aligned with the first time I was left to take care of the register alone. I couldn't get away from the yelling, "Where the hell do you think you're going?" in order to ask the people in the back what he wanted. His regular got written out, laminated, and pinned to the cash register after that. He kept screaming, "Do you know who I'm?" over and over, which, no sir, I do not know who you are. This is the first time we met. Also it turns out he was no one but a ass. It honestly astounds me that some customers think they are so special that we will remember their regular order despite seeing hundreds of people and talking hundreds of different orders a day. Like, I'll admit, I memorized like 3 out of every 150 orders because those people came in like clockwork daily, but I still can't understand the logic of going up to someone that you've also never seen before and expecting them to know what you want. Mayo people are wild. Lady walked into my office asking for one of my colleagues. I explained to her that he actually works out of a different office, which is listed in his email signature and our website. She was upset as she had documents to drop off to him. I explained to her that his office is only 3 minutes down the street if she wanted to make the drive, or I could scan her documents and email them to him. She refused. So I said, well, you can leave them here with me and I can ask the guy to come pick them up tomorrow. She again said no because she didn't trust me. I explained that I'm the director of operations for the company, basically my colleague's boss. She then yells that she doesn't know me and this is extremely sensitive information and storms out. 1 minute later, she comes in and asks for my business card to prove I'm who I say I am. Lol. I give her one and she leaves her stuff with me and storms off again. After I handed him his coffee, instead of saying thank you to him, L told him to have a nice day. He sent an email to corporate and my manager telling them I was rude to him because I didn't follow a company standard. Where do these people come from? I just can't understand how someone can get so worked up over that sort of thing. How empty and boring must your life be to email corporate over a cashier wishing you a nice day? Some people go through life with so much hate in their hearts. It's very unfortunate. Had an older gentleman order a food scale that was like a 10-pound capacity. The platform was a few inches wide. He received it and called me yelling, "How the hell am I supposed to stand on this thing? We are a redistributor," and he was also upset that we sold a product with someone else's instructions and name on it. He was trying to weigh his chicken with it in his hand, damn it. I think I've told this story once in a post somewhere else, probably with one of my old accounts. I used to work Deli for a New England grocery chain, working in Vermont. Working in one of the bigger stores meant that we would often be loaned out during ski season to small stores with big holiday booms. It was very busy for them, about normal for my store. I was slicing cheese for a woman who got real angry that I hadn't stacked her cheese perfectly straight, which blew my mind. Who expects deli sliced cheese to be stacked perfectly? The story has a happy ending though. Her exact indignant words were, "Where I'm from and New York they stack the cheese perfectly straight." And the guy behind her, a regular the local employees had greeted by name, piped up and said, "Well then maybe you should go the fuck back to New York." Best moment I've ever had at work. I used to live in New York and have never once been to a deli that stacked cheese perfectly straight. Wonder what magical instance of New York she lived in. Her parents bought her Kraft singles and told her it was deli sliced. They noticed I had an accent. I'm from Southern Virginia and North Carolina area, and pointed it out as Russian. I don't know how they possibly thought my accent was Russian, but I corrected them, and they got angry that I was being condescending to them. The personification of a Facebook mom's group troll looking for a fight regardless of logic and sound maturity. Worked at Walmart and this guy went through my line buying something for his tires. He accidentally got two different things. One was a lot more expensive than the other. He got pissed looking at his receipt and demanded to know why one cost more money. I looked at the products and noticed one had some gel inserted in the product. I told him this and he demanded to know why this made the product more expensive. I explained to him I knew nothing about cars and was just a cashier, but he could go to customer service to exchange the more expensive product for the cheaper one. He then refused to leave my line until I lowered the price of the more expensive product. BTW, I was working the express checkout line on Friday at 5:30 and a huge line was forming behind this man-child. My manager finally got him to leave the line and go to customer service, though his son was in line behind him, and apologized for his father's actions. A woman I had never met or seen in my life asked me where her kids were. I was confused and said, "I'm sorry, I don't know." And she yelled and asked where they put them. She stormed off angry at me. I never had a clue why she asked me. Got yelled at for saying no problem instead of "you're welcome." I've been yelled at by a grumpy old man for the same exact thing. I hate this so much. Lol. "You're welcome" signifies that I've done a favor for you and now need praise. "No problem" signifies, well, that it wasn't a problem and helping people is just what you bloody do. Sharon. This lady at Walmart once got really peed off at me because we didn't sell pasteurized eggs and this wasn't allowed. Screaming kind of peed off. She just looked at me very intensely and spoke at low volume, over enunciating every syllable, and said, "Tell your managers to order pasteurized eggs." This other lady grabbed my arm and started pulling on me, telling me that the fact that we shut down our sewing department felt like we had killed her child and that less and less people were going to come to Walmart because of stuff like that and that we would have to close down. Because I didn't open up shop an hour before opening time. Because he was here now, so opened the store. He kept banging on the door and then threw a metal bucket at my head. Good times. Apparently when she said she wanted a hot fudge sundae she meant strawberry sundae. She claimed that I was thinking bad thoughts about her and the resulting negative energy was making her feet bleed. I wasn't thinking bad thoughts about her before that, but I sure as hell was after. You should have run with it. You're lucky that's all I'm making bleed. I used to deliver pizza. I had someone get irate and refuse the delivery because they'd ordered it to be delivered at 7 PM and I got there at 6:55. I hope you just stood there for 5 minutes refusing to hand it over till 7 exactly. They wanted a new pizza because they said the one I brought would be cold by 7 when they wanted to eat. I told them we'd have to bake a new pizza then and it'd be late. They opted for late. I ran a few more deliveries with their pizza in my backseat and went back around 7:30 with the exact same pizza, but told them it was a new one. They opened it to make sure it was hot and were happy with it. Then they called to complain about the experience. Then we had to update our order policy that if you specify a delivery time we can only guarantee a time range and not a specific minute. Had a lady refuse to believe I entered her discounts properly, pulled out my calculator and did the math, and she still refuses to believe it. She asks for a pen and paper and then proceeds to work out her discount by hand. She shows me the number and I say, "Yes, ma'am, we can do that price." It was exactly the price I originally told her. Turns out later she complained again to someone else, but ended up leaving. Reminds me of when I was at Subway once, and the lady in front of me ordered 2 6-inch meatball subs, and at the end the guy was like, let me ring that up as a single 12-inch to save you some money, and the lady lost her shit. Guy was like, right, okay, 2 6-inch meatball subs it is then. You're right. I applied another discount to the total instead of the promoted discount to save her more money. Had to get into an argument with her just to explain him trying to save her more money. She wasn't having it. Pay more money. I don't friggin' care anymore. I used to work for Best Buy and Geek Squad, but would cover PC occasionally. I had someone get mad at me because the quality of Intel chips has been steadily going down, and they wanted me to give them a discount to buy an Intel laptop. They obviously knew it was a manufacturer's thing, as they even talked to me about how Intel is pushing their resources into quantum computing and not advancing current hardware the same way. Like, I can't just call someone at Intel and tell them to change their focus. I can't give you 20% off a new laptop because you dislike AMD and the price for performance doesn't really match anymore. I was a cashier. It was an old woman. Whole Foods, back when they had the app to scan for little to no savings. She couldn't get her app to work. I spent 5 to 10 minutes trying to help, looking at her phone, etc. She gave up, and her transaction goes through, as she shouts, I got it open. I looked at her and said, I'm sorry, the transaction went through. I can't scan the app at this point. She gave me a dirty look, went to the front desk, told my manager I was a bitch and walked away. It's people like her who I just think are gonna die so sad and angry. I worked at a Burger King in high school. A guy comes in one day complaining he put in money to get a newspaper in the machine outside, and it wasn't this Sunday's paper. He wanted a refund. I told him we didn't own that machine, and we weren't able to give him his money back. I also mentioned to him it was actually Saturday, not Sunday. He flew into a rage, threw last week's Sunday edition of the paper all around the restaurant and behind the counter. My manager comes out and threatens to call the cops. Dude leaves screaming about how we ripped him off. Sometimes you can't fix stupid.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe for more.